Now that Sophie Cunningham has been suspended controversially, things have boiled over, and Caitlin Clark, the NBA's brightest star, is standing on the precipice. This isn't because she failed or because she couldn't handle pressure, but rather because the league she helped elevate is determined to bring her down. What should have been a celebration of excellence has turned into a troubling pattern that fans, analysts, and even players can't ignore. The foul was harsh, and the aftermath was even worse, but when Caitlin Clark was questioned about it, her composure was chilling. There was no outrage or anger, just a steely response. It was a flagrant foul, implying that she's seen this movie before and knows how it ends, but what followed wasn't silence, it was a rumble. Sophie's punishment was prompt, but in some ways it seemed to deflect attention from the more serious problem. The most marketable player in the league, Caitlin Clark, is still the object of unbridled animosity, and those around her are having to engage in invisible conflicts. The WNBA may believe it is maintaining balance, but the fans see it as betrayal. Cunningham's suspension should have been a turning point, but instead it felt like a band-aid applied to a wound. The referees refused to recognize that this isn't basketball, but rather gladiatorial combat. The league wants to act as though it is taking action while ignoring the larger picture. Caitlin Clark, the woman who once turned the WNBA into an appointment, is currently being pursued on the court. Television is reportedly considering leaving, and, to be honest, can you blame her? Caitlin Clark isn't just another rookie. She's a once-in-a-generation talent who, before joining the WNBA, barely registered on the mainstream radar. After her debut, everything changed. Teams had to move games to larger arenas to contain the demand. She didn't just bring eyes. She brought the money. Let's talk numbers. When Clark debuted, her jersey became the best-selling item across all sports, including basketball, NFL stars, MLB legends, and international soccer icons. The WNBA for once had a cash cow, but instead of protecting that asset, they've allowed it to be battered, bruised, and disrespected game after game after game. The proof is in the plummet. The moment she was sidelined due to injury, the WNBA lost more than half of its TV audience. Let that sink in. One player sat out and entirely collapsed in viewership. That's not just influence, that's dependence. Clark isn't one of many. She is the market. The league's very survival appears tethered to her presence, and it's not even subtle anymore. So why is the WNBA treating her like an expendable rookie? Why is the face of the league subjected to what many are calling sanctioned hazing? The league seems faster to tweet about a player's outfit violation than to address Clark being hip-checked midair or slammed off the ball. The silence, it's deafening, and as the pressure builds, the rumors grow louder. Caitlin might be plotting her exit because every golden goose eventually gets tired of laying eggs for people who don't value her. Let us examine the culture. When Clark entered a league full of veterans who had spent decades vying for attention and endorsements, you could almost hear the resentment erupting. They claimed that Caitlin Clark, a young, self-assured player, didn't deserve it, that she needed to be humbled, and that she was just a pretty face with a jump shot. But the stat sheet shows that she not only talks the talk, but also walks the walk. Every time she drops 30 on an opponent who attempted to body check her onto the sidelines, the jealousy escalates into something more dangerous. Targeted aggression involves psychological warfare in addition to physical combat. The WNBA has evolved into a league that criminalizes confidence and punishes accomplishment. Clark trash talks. She is conceited, silent, distant, and being held to an impossible standard. In the meantime, the league veterans who ought to be coaching her are planning her downfall. Each game is made into a test of how much punishment Clark can withstand before collapsing, but she keeps playing game after game until she decides enough is enough. Even warriors grow weary, and if that day comes, it won't be because she wasn't good enough, but rather because the league failed to shield its greatest asset from its own resentment. Some say Caitlin should just toughen up and accept that it's all part of the game, but this isn't just playing hard, it's a coordinated physical assault. Marina Mabrey's infamous shove was just the tip of the iceberg. The screens, the elbows, the accidental face slaps, each one tells a story of a league that's letting Clark become a human piñata. And where are the referees in all this? Apparently, they've lost their whistles. Blatant fouls are brushed off as common players are allowed to cross the line repeatedly, without consequence. If the WNBA can't control its own officials, then it can call itself professional. This isn't playground ball, it's a televised product, and right now it looks broken. The fans see it. They've launched campaigns like #ProtectCaitlin Clark demanding accountability. They've analyzed footage frame by frame, searching for justice in slow motion, but what they find is even more disturbing. The league appears complicit. Clark is making the millions, but they're offering her no protection in return. And when the media chimes in its worst, commentators blame Clark for the aggression. Why? Because she dares to play with confidence. Trash talk has always been part of the game. Just ask Larry Bird or Michael Jordan. But when Clark does it, it's somehow inappropriate. The double standard is glaring, and fans are getting fed up. What happens when the people watching start turning away because the league can't get its act together? Spoiler, the cracks are already showing. And now we come to the most dramatic possibility of all, the nuclear option. There are two emerging theories about what would happen if Caitlin Clark left the WNBA
permanently.
The first is that she might sign a contract abroad, most likely in Europe, where women's basketball players are respected and well paid. The second is that, shocker alert, she would not only be an athlete there, she would be a queen, earning millions of dollars. Protected from criticism and praised for her contributions to the game. It would be a huge defeat for the WNBA, but a huge victory for Caitlin Clark's mental health. And who could blame her for putting her sanity before her survival? Then there is theory number 2, the billionaire's gambit, which holds that a rich investor comes forward and says, Caitlin, here's $50 million. Let's create a new league without the baggage. A Clark-led league wouldn't just compete, it could destroy the WNBA. The numbers don't lie. She brings the fans, she brings money, she brings a brand. Imagine it a fresh start. Just basketball the way it should be, without backstage jealousy or small-time politics. And the WNBA left a warning about how ego and inaction can destroy a gold mine in the dust. It wouldn't just be daring, it would be historic, and given the current state of affairs, it might also be inevitable. Meanwhile, the supposed rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese has turned into a circus. It was meant to be a fierce competition. What has turned into is personal hostility encased in argument footage and highlight reels. When her teammates cheered it from a bench, Reese's flagger foul on Clark was a statement rather than a basketball play, and the message was clear. This isn't about competitiveness, it's about animosity in genuine rivalries. The foundation of the aggressive magic is respect. Respected Bird, Federer praised Nadal, saying that they went to war yet acknowledged excellence off the court. What we're witnessing with Clark and her alleged opponents is something more repulsive. Cheap shots masquerading as defense and petty envy masquerading as intensity. To her credit, Clark doesn't fall for the ploy. She plays her game, scores, and wins, but that just seems to fuel the fire. Fans are noticing that instead of seeing a league of equals competing, they see one woman carrying the sport on her back while others try to bring her down from behind. Now, the league must decide whether to continue the dysfunction or to finally step up and draw a line because, let's face it, Caitlin Clark won't be the last generation of talent to enter this league. If the WNBA doesn't learn how to reward loyal players and foster their growth, future stars will reconsider. They'll look at Caitlin's physical and emotional bruises and ask, is it worth it? And the response may increasingly be no. This isn't just about Clark anymore. It's about the message being sent to all young athletes who are watching. What does it say when talent is met with hostility, excellence with elbows, poise with punishment, and aggression with praise, as long as it goes against the league's best light? It says that no matter how good you are, you'll always have to fight twice as hard just to be respected, that the price of greatness isn't admiration but pain, and that's a message no sport should be proud to convey. Here, the WNBA has a unique and pressing chance to craft a new narrative that will not only save Caitlin Clark, but also embrace her influence and reorganize the league around her momentum. Although there is still time, the clock is running out. The longer there is quiet, the louder the backlash will get. Fans are now demanding rather than pleading, and once they leave, I wish you luck in regaining them. What will Caitlin do next? She will continue to do what she usually does and let her game speak louder than the clamor, but don't make a mistake. Her patience has its limitations. Even Clark has a breaking point, and if that day comes, the WNBA won't just lose a player, it will lose its future because this isn't about drama, it's about legacy, and if the WNBA keeps playing with the legacy of its brightest star, it might end up on the wrong side of history. Her shame has a shelf life. She's shown more restraint than most veterans could ever muster. Caitlin Clark didn't enter the league to be destroyed. Rather, she came to create something greater than herself. The real question is, will the WNBA allow her to do so? This rivalry will end if Clark decides to leave because it was never real in the first place. It was manufactured heat, but the fallout will be very real. So the question is, how long will she put up with it? The WNBA has a choice: either protect its star or continue on its path of self-destruction. Caitlin Clark has handed them all of her ratings, money, and significance in exchange for silence, taunts, and bruises. When that day arrives, it won't be her loss but theirs. The arenas will be deserted, the cameras will go out, and the league will have to respond to the question: what happens when you chase away the only person keeping the lights on? If this keeps up, her departure won't be shocking. It will be justified. Keep checking back, because this tale is far from over.